Hey guys, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Dan. And I hope you guys are ready for some fun because we've got a challenge for you.
Yes, we certainly do. Because today's big idea is we can share God's love by being compassionate. But before we get into the challenge, I think it might help if we look at what exactly compassion is.
Absolutely. Compassion is when we show concern for others and have sympathy for them. But let's be a little bit more practical about that. Jacob, can you think of an example from your life where someone had compassion on you?
Yeah, I think I can. Particularly one time in school, I had a teacher that I did not get along with, and I was not doing well in her class. By the end of the semester, I was getting really overwhelmed. But she saw that, and she showed compassion for me. She sat me down and helped me get back on track.
That is so awesome. It's great that even though you guys didn't get along, she saw that you were struggling and she had compassion on you. Let's watch today's God story, but stay tuned. We've got that challenge ready for you afterwards.
What sort of music do frogs like? Hip hop! Hi friends, my name is Paige. So one time when I was in the city, I witnessed someone giving a homeless man a brand new pair of shoes. And that gave me so much hope for our world. It made me feel so much love, and it was a really special moment to witness. Some people are naturally compassionate, but some people aren't. But when we move closer to the heart of God, when we get to know Jesus more, our compassion for people grows, and we can grow our compassion muscle too. Oh, wait, you might be asking, what does compassion even mean? Well, compassion means feeling so concerned or sad for someone that you want to do something to help. Compassion means to suffer with. And sometimes all we can do is suffer with. Stay, pray, and cry with someone. And that brings me to today's big idea. We can share God's love by being compassionate. So today we are going to dive into God's story of when Jesus was traveling around teaching and healing people. He healed people not using medicine or bandages. He performed miracles to heal people. Now, a miracle is an amazing event caused by power from God. It's something that may seem impossible to us, but only possible through God. Today's God story is about a time when Jesus felt deep compassion for someone. Let's check it out in Luke 7, verse 11 to 17. Jesus had gone to a town called Nain. His disciples and a large crowd came with him. Just when he got to the town gate, he saw a dead person being carried out of town. A large crowd from the town was there, and it turned out that the dead body was a young man, and he had been his mother's only son. Now, that would be incredibly sad for any of us, and for a parent to lose a child is very, very sad. But in that day and time, a woman only had the ability to do things because of her husband or her sons. But her husband was already dead, so this son was her last hope, and he had died. Let's read what happened next. When the Lord saw her, he felt sorry for her. So he said, "Don't cry." Then he went up and touched the coffin. Those carrying it stood still. Jesus said, "Young man, I say to you, get up." The dead man sat up and began to talk. Then Jesus gave him back to his mother. Wow, so much in these 3 verses. First, Jesus felt sorry for this woman. He had compassion. Did you know that when you see Jesus, we see what God is really like? That means that God is compassionate. And we are reminded throughout the Old Testament that God is merciful and compassionate. And so we see this compassion in Jesus. And can you imagine Jesus saying to the woman, "Don't cry"? Don't you think his heart would have been heavy for her? Then Jesus was moved to act. He took the compassion he felt and he raised the young man from the dead. That's huge. Let's read how people reacted. The people were all filled with wonder and praised God. "A great prophet has appeared among us," they said. "God has come to help his people." The news about Jesus spread all through Judea and the whole country. the people could see God's love in actions through Jesus that day. And we can share with others God's love through our compassionate actions too. Now, we may not be able to raise people from the dead, but we can care deeply for people and show God's love through caring for them. As Jesus followers, we know that Jesus came to show us God's love, and we can share God's love by being compassionate. So who are the sick, the lonely, the worried, the sad, and the left out people who you know? And how can you show them God's love this week by being compassionate? Don't know? Well, pray about it. See what God shows you. My name's Paige. I had a blast, and I'll talk to you soon.
Turn to the person next to you.
Oh, and discuss the following questions.
Question time! How did Jesus show compassion to the woman in the story? How can we show compassion to others? Game time! Fish tank! Can you say the key verse before the time runs out? Get ready! 3, 2, 1, go! Say it with me. God is the Father who gives tender love. All comfort comes from him. 2 Corinthians 1 verses 3 to 4.
This was one of the ways that Jesus showed compassion for people throughout his life. He looked out for people on the margins, the sinners, the outsiders.
That's exactly right. And that brings us into our challenge for today. We want you to find someone and show them love or care, even if they didn't ask for it. And the trick here is that we want you to do it in a way that will be fun for both you and the other person.
Yeah, and if you're looking for ideas, check out Nathan's story and see how he lives out his creativity and passion while showing compassion for others.
When I was a kid, I just loved the sounds of the kitchen. You know, the crackling of the oil in the frying pan and getting my hands in the flour. It was just so much fun. I'm Nathan. I love music, I love sports, and I love food. Currently, I'm the food service coordinator at Yonge Street Mission in Toronto. I oversee all the meals that go in and out of our organization, which feeds people who live in poverty, from young kids to seniors. Because of the nature of what we do, I don't always have particular ingredients to make what I'd want to make out of a certain meal. It really requires me using my imagination and just thinking of ways and creative ways to make a great meal of just what we have. It is important to me to create these meals to be the very best, because that is what these people deserve. These people are a part of God's creation, and they're our brothers and sisters, and this is the way we show love for them. Tonight, I'm having friends over, and I'm going to make them rack of lamb, stuffed turkey, a beautiful mixed green salad with a tomato and bocconcini salad, and a wonderful vegetable medley with some Parisian potatoes. When I'm making a meal, the first thing I think about during the process is just what that plate is gonna look like. And I just visualize it and imagine it, where the meat is gonna go, the colors that are involved in that, and then work backwards. And what do I need to make sure that plate is gonna look the way I want it to end up. The thing that inspired me most to be a chef was just my love for food. I love all different types of foods from different regions of the world, different textures, smells, colors. Food is just so different everywhere you go. It's something that brings us all together, so I love it. I'm just so fascinated with food. I really love food. The tools I absolutely need in my kitchen are my knives. Can't really do anything, start anything without my knives. Need a nice good wooden spoon and a spatula to obviously stir and to taste. You don't really need anything else but your spoon and your spatula, and you can eat a meal right there. I definitely feel a connection with God when I cook, because that's where my creativity comes from. My passion, my talent for cooking comes from God, and then the skills that I've developed in cooking, use it as worship. I just believe that God smiles down when you're using all your talents, whatever it is. I'm much more creative when I'm cooking for others. It opens up my creativity, helps to expand my creativity, and I just love the reaction of people enjoying food.
It's delicious. I love that.
This is so good.
At the end of the meal, I want to hear people chewing, forks and knives clinking on the plates, people licking their fingers, and that's it.
Yay! Nathan and dinner and friends.
Nathan is such a compassionate person, and you can see it in the way that he fully taps into his creativity, whether he's cooking for his friends or for people in need.
Exactly. I found it really spoke to me when he said that it's important to make the very best meals for people who live in poverty, because that's what they deserve. He sees them as his brothers and sisters, and that is truly showing God's love to others.
Absolutely. And don't forget this week's challenge. Remember to have fun while you're showing God's love. Now let's break into our small groups and see what this looks like in our own lives.
Bye.